AI The Somnium Files uses its craziest plot elements to pull off amazing emotional payoffs, making you feel like you're on a calm drive and in the next moment a wave of emotion crashes down on you, with the game doing this over and over and over again. But even with that description, those moments never felt sudden, because the game constantly leaves you breadcrumbs through the dialogue, leading you to those moments as if it were natural as waking up. Taking place in a slightly futuristic 2019, you play as a cop named Kaname Date, who has an AI partner, Aiba, that helps him use a sync machine that allows him to dive into other people's heads so he can solve cases. And that's the basic premise of the game. And while you do the first couple of syncs, the game makes you believe that it's a simple gameplay element that breaks the monotony of playing the visual novel and moves the story forward. However, that all changed for me when I jumped into Mayumi's subconscious. Mayumi has dementia, which impairs her ability to think, remember, or even make decisions, on top of the fact that she's the nicest character in the game. Unfortunately, when Date needs some information, Mayuri holds up the investigation by trying to take the blame for the recent attack on her son and another character, when she obviously didn't do it, leading Date to explore her mind, where the only thing he finds is a landscape filled with Mayuri's undying love for her family, even as her memories fade away. I think this moment resonated with me because of my own experience with dementia. A few years ago in 2018, my great-grandmother wasn't able to live alone anymore. So my grandmother and her siblings put her in an assisted living facility where she lived until the summer of 2020, where she passed away. In my great-grandmother's last years, she had dementia, which made it hard to visit her, to say the least. But those few fleeting moments, like sunlight piercing through a thunderstorm when my great-grandmother had her right mind, made everything worth it, because at the end of the day, just like Mayuri, she was still there. And this mirrors my journey within AI The Somnium Files, going through the repetitive nature of the gameplay to solve the overarching mystery, only to be hit by something that was in front of me the whole time. The mystery, future, and fictional elements within this game were all put there to allow these emotional moments to flourish for Mayuri and a couple of other characters within this game, like Mizuki, who is Date's adopted daughter, who has to deal with the death of both of her biological parents and her self-worth after being abandoned by them. This results in her constantly lashing out at Date because he's her current parental figure, dumping everything that she really wants to say to her parents to him. But occasionally she lets her wall down, which makes her final sequence of her story feel natural. She dives into Date's mind to wake him up from a coma due to an injury he got protecting her. I feel like this sequence is something that a lot of people can relate to, as we see Mizuki relive her memories of Date, expressing everything that she wants to say but is far too embarrassed to ever admit. Kinda like writing a nice message to someone over text or in a card for their birthday, creating a moment that I believe most players found endearing, like seeing a younger sibling who was annoying finally mature before your eyes. The more I think about this game, the same thought keeps popping up. A lot of this doesn't matter, and I know that sounds disrespectful, so let me explain. Kotaro Uchikoshi is the director and scenario writer of this game, and has some great projects to his name, like the Zero Escape series. And as someone who has played those games, the fantastical elements in Zero Escape feel like they're as important as the character interactions, which makes some of the emotional moments feel less important, with a world-ending threat looming over all of the games. But in AI The Somnium Files, the scope of the story is much smaller, which makes the stakes of what happens much more important to all of the characters within the game, making you care, relate, and feel exactly what these characters are going through, taking us along for the ride versus viewing their story from a third-person perspective. The fact that I feel this way is a testament testament to Uchikoshi's writing because these emotional moments only come at the pinnacle of their individual stories, while laying down the breadcrumbs of that mystery that ties these characters together, showing that some of the most beautiful things you've seen can be born out of tragedy and pain out of our control, and that we can only see this when getting past the fog of meaningless stuff in our lives, looping back around to realize what was important all along.